Step 6 of our ideal system redesign methodology involves making an implementation plan. Again, to look at the theoretical background of implementation, we need to distinguish between problem solving and problem dissolving again. In the case of problem solving, the sequence of action steps that is involved in solving the problem is derived from the unchanged design of the current system, and we can take action immediately. Many organizations have fixed procedures established for routine problems. The maintenance department has lots of those, and the finance department, IT department, how to solve certain problems. To go back to the example of the car and fixing the car, as soon as I bring the car for repair, an established routine starts. Somebody looks for the root cause of the problem, and then there is a particular procedure for fixing that particular part that is at fault. If we are doing problem dissolving, we first have to do an ideal design of the system. This is what we have done in step 5. And then we have to make an implementation plan for how we are going to implement the design. And only when I've got such a plan can I make specific action step. So let's go back to problem solving. To solve a problem, the problem solving procedure has to be established. That's what I said. Some organizations have it. For routine problems, a new problem, someone has to establish that routine first. And that involves identifying the necessary action steps and their sequencing. Some problems are relatively easy to solve and can be done almost immediately. Those are referred to as the quick wins in organizational change situation. Other problems may take longer and will require a project plan to be designed for solving it, and that could be a lengthy and costly process. However, such project plan does not require that first the system is being redesigned. So problem solving project plans are just aimed at solving the problem. The next action step exercise asks you to do the following. During problem analysis, you have identified those problems and core factors that can be solved by you. Design 5 to 10 most important action steps you can take immediately to solve those problems. Establish the time frames by which to complete the step, and also estimate how long it will take you to solve the whole problem. Let us now look at planning the ideal design implementation. We are back to our picture of the current situation moving into the current futures, and we are having developed an ideal future, an ideal design. Before we talk about implementation of your design, it is important that we remember that design is not an implementation plan. If one has a design and wants to implement it in a system without planning how to do that, it will cause huge chaos and conflict within the system. This is what happened in South Africa when the government wanted to introduce a new education system called outcomes-based education. It did not plan implementation, but expected teachers to implement immediately. And the exercise was called Curriculum 2000. And teachers could not implement. They weren't prepared, they were confused. This nearly destroyed the education system. The department then took the approach of more gradually implementing. 2003 was the next phase, and then Curriculum 2005 was the next phase, and there was a 2007. So between the year 2000 and 2007, there was an attempt to rescue the situation, but damage had been done at the beginning. What should they have done instead? Well, implementation planning involves backcasting. So we have our ideal design and we say, this is how the new design should look like. What must we do to get there? And this involves determining the core strategies involved to get us there. How do we go about practically to do such an implementation plan? Well, implementation plans are typically made by task teams. We would use the experts in curriculum design and the experts in teacher training and so on. And they would be able to apply a project management principle. In a sense, they would know how long it would take, what the cost would be involved, what kind of resources would be required, and where responsibilities should lie. The seventh and last step of our ideal system redesign methodology is implementing the design. Implementation of the design occurs according to the planned action steps. So in the previous section, we identified the different action steps, planned their sequence. These action steps are then integrated with the existing strategic and operational plans of the system and are implemented in the context of the day-to-day performance of the system. The performance management is explained in more detail in later modules. What is important to remember is that until the implementation of a design starts, it is business as usual. So just because an organization is busy redesigning its organization and planning its implementation doesn't mean that we need to keep normal operations on hold. The organization continues as before until we start phasing in those action steps determined by the implementation plan, and those start slowly shifting the performance of the system towards a more ideal future. This exercise is not actually an exercise, but it is the real thing. You have to implement the next action step. It is a matter of just do it.